Welcome back. Another report, and another new army I've not faced before. We're playing Contact Lost. You generate one tactical objective at the start of your first turn. In subsequent turns, you draw a card for each objective you hold, up to a maximum of 6. First, a quick rundown of our armies. We placed objectives as follows: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 is obscured by the wall of the fortress. They're not the gold markers I usually use, my opponent has some nice custom-built ones. Here's deployment. It's dawn of war, and I'm spread out quite far, with my largest unit of jet bikes, and my warlord Starweaver, in the center, and a hemlock on each flank. The Grey Knights are mostly concentrated in the center of their deployment zone. But if you look closely you can see a small infantry squad way out on both flanks, too. The Terminators are in deep strike. Well, my opponent wins the roll for first turn, but for the first time ever, I actually seize, so I'll be going first. I gotta say it was a good day. For my card, I draw Psychological Warfare. Not great really. Here's my movement. My fusion boat and one hemlock move to threaten the left Dread Knight. The other hemlock manages to position itself so that his Vindicare assassin, which is currently the only assassin deployed, can be targeted by it. My bikes all move up murderously fast. I have Rangers at the bottom of the screen already holding an objective, along with the Dire Avengers who are just out of shot. The second Ranger squad is on the bottom left, holding another objective along with the Warlock and Death Jester. The big squad of bikes in the center are holding the central objective. Here's a closer shot of the impending action. In the psychic phase, the hemlock tries to smite the Vindicare, but it's denied. However, I do kill 4 of the 5 strike squad members who are on top of the fortification, with my Doomseer, and here we are after shooting. I easily destroy both of the Dread Knights. I mean, it always feels a bit bad, instantly melting the nastiest things on the table with the Skyweavers, but those things just had to die straight away, and they were conveniently the only vehicles for me to target. They stood absolutely no chance versus the volume of haywire shots the bikes put out. I didn't even need the hemlock on the far left, who instead just kills a couple of the interceptors at the back. Annoyingly, however, the other hemlock doesn't manage to slay the Vindicare, thanks to its invulnerable save.
That was your job. Your only job.
I then assault a unit of interceptors over on the right flank, with a unit of 3 jet bikes, but I forgot that Castellan Crow was there, cause he was partially behind the terrain feature and I just didn't really notice him. It turns out he's not particularly scary in combat, but he does enough to turn the tide against the bikes, helping to kill a couple of them. Okay, so I don't score Psychological Warfare yet, as the lone strike dude in the center stands fast, but I do score Slay the Warlord, and first strike, Grey Knights turn 1. No picture of their card.
But why?
So their interceptor squads can reposition themselves anywhere more than 9 inches from my models, which is pretty cool. One squad comes right down here, to threaten my units holding Objective 2, and another squad pops up here, to claim Objective 6 for themselves. Remember, next turn we'll only draw cards equal to the number of objectives we hold. The third interceptor squad teleports to hold Objective 1. The rest of his assassins then show up, which they can do in turn 1, due to their independent operative rule. The Kulexis comes down here at the bottom of my deployment zone. The Eversor appears over here. And you can't quite see it, but the Calidus comes down somewhere over here, near my small unit of bikes. So Psychic is actually not too bad for me, as I think he does fail a lot of his smites, despite the Brotherhood of Psychers rule. In shooting, these interceptors wipe out the Rangers that were on the Bastion, and the Kulexis kills the Warlock, I think. These other interceptors manage to wipe out the Avengers and one Warlock over here, too. Brother Captain Stern then assaults my Starweaver, and destroys it quite easily. Fortunately my warlord's relic ensures that no one dies in the wreckage, so I'm not too worried about this. Next, Grandmaster Voltus and the Eversor both assault my big unit of jet bikes in the center. The Eversor takes 3 wounds from Overwatch. However, after combat is done and dusted, here's what it looks like. So I do manage to finish off the Eversor, but holy frickin' shizballs, Voltus absolutely mullers them. A big problem is that I forgot to pop prismatic blur on them last turn, for that sweet 3++. I'm getting better at remembering it in general, but this time I forgot. Anyway, the Caladius assassin fails its charge or whiffs in combat, and Crow finishes off the other lone jet bike, so that ends the turn. I don't think he scored his card, but he does get first strike. My turn too, and I'm holding 3 objectives, so draw 3 cards, master the warp, no prisoners, and take the stage, which is a Harlequins 1. Take the stage procs objective 2, which I'm already holding with some rangers. Noise, I move like so. On the far left, my 3 remaining jet bikes and a plane position themselves to take out a squad of Inceptors. The other plane flies to the opposite side of the board to threaten another squad. Top center, my warlord and players move across to try and take out Voltus, while my Farseer flies right next to the Vindicator, for some smitey goodness. Down in the bottom right corner, my Solitaire blitzes and moves to attack the Interceptor squad which is threatening my Rangers. The Ranger on the left of the picture fell off the terrain.
Clumsy.
So Psychic isn't majorly eventful, although I do at least get a spell off for Master the Warp. The Farseer fails to kill the Vindicator with magic. In shooting, I do a number on this unit of Interceptors, and then, spoiler alert, the bikes assault and kill the last 2. Back to shooting, and this Hemlock rolls phenomenally well, wiping out a whole squad of Interceptors by itself, who had been on objective 6. And in a desperate final effort, my Rangers sniped the Vindicator and just about managed to finish him off.
Yes!
I then have a difficult decision. My Solitaire assaults this unit, taking a couple of wounds from Overwatch, which is perfect cause it lets him go Super Saiyan for 1 CP, and my players and Warlord assault Voltus. But which do I go with first? Whichever one I choose, he has enough CP to interrupt, and I'm sure he will. I decide to go with the Solitaire first, as I figure that if I kill Voltus first, then he will kill my Solitaire and be a general nuisance down in this corner next turn, whereas if the Solitaire swings first and he interrupts with Voltus, I reckon I can still kill Voltus with whatever remains. So, the Solitaire kills 4 of the Interceptors. Voltus then interrupts, as I predicted, and slays my Warlord and 2 players. That was always the risk. The players retaliate with furious vengeance of epic might, and slay Voltus in return. Plus, my Solitaire survives, so I think the risk was probably just about worth it, on balance, as I've rendered the Interceptors virtually useless in their next turn. So, this turn I score 5 points, 1 from Take the Stage, 1 from Master the Warp, and 3 from No Prisoners, putting me on 7. Grey Knight's turn 2. Dang, this report is running quite long already. I'll try to speed it up a bit. He brings both his Terminator squads down. His Calidus is still skulking about, here. Stern and Crow move to threaten the players, and his Culexus moves up. I just wanted to show you a closer shot of his Terminators, which are painted in a yellow scheme which I think looks really frickin' cool. So, this turn, in shooting he brings one of the Hemlocks down to 4 wounds remaining, then in combat, Stern kills the 3 players. His Culexus charges my Death Jester but bounces off, the Calidus charges the jet bikes but only kills 1, and the Interceptors down here do another wound to the Solitaire, but he slays them in return.
Thank you for doing what I told you to.
So, importantly, Grey Knights weren't holding any objectives at the start of their turn, so they didn't draw any cards. Ouch. They scored Slay the Warlord last turn, so it's 7-2 to me at the end of round 2. My turn 3. I'm still holding 3 objectives, so I draw Kingslayer, Trickery and Deception, and Area Denial. For Trickery and Deception, I nominate objective 2, cause I'm already holding it, so it's like a guaranteed point and shiz. So, super mega quick turn summary. My Solitaire and Rangers hide out of sight. My planes move to threaten the Terminators, I kill 3 from one unit and 1 from the other. I fail to kill the Culexus for Area Denial, and my spellcasters fail to do much at all, due to the Culexus. I score my 1 point for Trickery and Deception, and automatically score Kingslayer, but only roll 1 point for it, so I'm on 9, now. Oh yeah, and my Farseer tried to kill Crow, but failed. Grey Knight's turn 3. Stern is holding objective 5, just about, and they draw mission critical objective, and roll a 5.
Yeah, you are very lucky.
So, the Terminators plod forwards a bit, and Stern moves fully onto objective 5. The only other units left are the Colexis and Crow. Stern kills my Shadow Seer with Psychic, Shooting, or both. The Terminators gun down the wounded Hemlock. The other one is still on full health. Then over here, the Colexis charges and kills one jet bug, but the Terminators fail spectacularly versus my lowly Death Jester, who just bosses his invul saves. Crow fails to kill the Farseer, too. 1 point for Grey Knights, then, which I believe actually puts them on 4. I think they must have scored a point for their objective card in turn 1, whatever it was, and I forgot to mention it. Harlequins turn 4. I'm only holding one objective now, and I draw Big Game Hunter, which I can't score. My Death Jester hops up on top of the silo. My Farseer is still harassing Crow, but makes sure to grab an objective this time. The Solitaire makes itself useful and also grabs an objective. Down here, the Hemlock only manages to kill a single Terminator, and my last remaining jet bike charges the Colexis but fails to kill it, and dies. The Farseer does manage to smite Crow to death, however. Grey Knight's turn 4. They're holding 3 objectives, and draw Secure 1, Assassinate, and Supremacy. A very straightforward turn, this. They obviously score Supremacy, as they're holding 3 objectives already without having to do anything. They roll 3 points for this. One of their objectives is 1, so there's another point. They then manage to kill the Death Jester for Assassinate, so they get 5 points this turn. This actually puts them level pegging with me, on 9 points.
What are you talking about?
Right, my turn 5. I also get to draw 3 cards, and I get Overwhelming Firepower, Supremacy, and Principal Performance. I can't score Principal Performance, cause my Warlord's dead. The other 2 are possible, though. My Hemlock flies down here and manages to wipe out the 2 Terminators who were holding objective 4, so there's Overwhelming Firepower. My Farseer then finally slays Voltus, with Eldritch Sorcery. Just like Grey Knights, I automatically score Supremacy too, getting 2 points from it. Combined with Overwhelming Firepower, that puts me on 12 in total. Grey Knight's turn 5, and I dislodged him from 2 of his objectives, so he now only draws 1 card, also getting Overwhelming Firepower. He only has these Terminators and the Colexis left, so he decided to hedge his bets and hang back, hoping for the game to continue and perhaps he'll be able to draw 2 cards next turn. However, we roll for the next turn and the game ends there. He scores Linebreaker with the Colexis, so the final score is 12-10 to me. Well, it was a bit hair-raising in turn 4, when Grey Knights made a comeback, but in the end they didn't have enough bodies left to stop me from dislodging them from their objectives, which are the lifeblood of this particular mission. It was always going to be tough for them, considering their Dread Knights are sitting ducks versus Haywire, but it was still a fun match and good to face another new army. I don't know why this report ended up so long. I think I got a bit bogged down with too much detail at the start. Anyway, I'm going on holiday for a couple of weeks, so there won't be any new reports up for a little while now. Thanks for watching.